part of the budget on Wednesday, ministers are to fund a network of family hubs in England as part of a £500 million package to support parents and children. Someone who's been leading the campaign on this is Conservative MP and former Cabinet Minister Andrea Leadsom. She led a review into early years health for the government earlier in the year, and she joins me now. So, Andrea, isn't this just Sure Start rebranded?
Not at all, no. Sure Starts were fantastic, but the problem with them is they were all about the buildings. And those who are great advocates for them will agree that family hubs, where you've got multidisciplinary services, so a real joined up set of services for families and their babies under one roof, universal, open long hours, and not just available in a physical place, but also available virtually, which, as we learnt during COVID lockdown, so many parents really value that virtual access to services too.
Now, £500 million, you're not going to turn that down, but in the wider scheme of things, it's not an awful lot of money. A lot of the pressure groups in this area are saying that it's not enough, and while it's welcome, it's not going to cover very much.
Well, I think it's absolutely game-changing for the early years sector. And if you look at what the money is for, it's to build those family hub networks across 75 upper-tier local authority areas. But really importantly, it's to cover the services, the range of services that parents and carers are desperately looking for. So ranging from parent-infant mental health support to breastfeeding support to early years, child development support, all the way through to debt advice, couple counselling, all of those things that different parents and carers need at different points will be available. And at the moment, they are for some, but by no means for everybody.
You kind of make my point for me, because it's covering 75 different council areas. Well, there are 40-odd county councils. That's less than 2 per county council. That's not going to go very far, is it?
Well, actually, it is covering almost half of all upper-tier local authority areas, and in essence, giving each of those a joined-up set of Start for Life services for every single new parent. I mean, that is a huge win. And not only that, but I'm this early years review for the PM, and actually we are embroiled now, really stuck into the implementation phase, and actually to implement these new changes, this new set of joined up services across 75 different areas over the next 3 years is actually quite a mission. And that's not to say that others won't do likewise. I mean, we've already seen some brilliant examples of good practice. So I really do believe this is going to be game changing right across England.
Let's look at how the money's going to be spent. 200 million to support 300,000 families who face complex issues that could lead to family breakdown, and then 82 million given to the, as we've discussed, 75 local authorities to fund new family hubs. But I mean, again, that's really only just over $1 million per council area, and another 100 million to go towards mental health support for expectant parents. Now, that's something you've been campaigning on ever since you left the cabinet, and actually asked to do an early years review by Boris Johnson. Obviously, given that this announcement is apparently coming in the budget, is that your campaign over?
Absolutely not. No, and just to, yeah, you know me too well, Ian. But I mean, I've been campaigning for better parent-infant mental health support for 25 years, not just since I left cabinet and chaired an interministerial group under Theresa May's leadership. So, no, this is absolutely vital. Up to 1 in 5 mums and 1 in 10 dads experience postnatal, antenatal depression and don't get help at the moment routinely. That has to change. It's absolutely vital, because the reason is that when a human baby is born, they are unable to fend for themselves in any way until they're at least a year old. And the physical underdevelopment is just a part of it. The brain development takes place in accordance with the environment that baby finds himself or herself in. So a baby who's born into a happy, loving home will literally grow up finding the world to be a good, happy place, and they'll be able to cope with life's ups and downs. But conversely, a baby born into deprivation, domestic violence, poor mental health, all of the sorts of challenges that beset some families, that baby will not go on to have that sort of secure learning for life and will struggle to cope with life's ups and downs. And as we know, for very many children in areas of severe deprivation, neglect and abuse, they go on to have incredibly poor outcomes. And that's what we're trying to change. So no, this is by no means over. This is just the work really starting. Now we've got some money to make it happen.
Now, Kate Green, who's Labour Shadow Education Secretary, she said family hubs were a sticking plaster for a fractured childcare and children's services landscape. She says this supposed commitment rings hollow after 11 years of Conservative cuts have forced the closure of over 1,000 children's centres, cutting off early learning that sets children up for life. Now, she's right that 1,000 children's centres have been cut. She has to be right that this is a sticking plaster.
Well, again, to put it in perspective, there are 3,000 Sure Starts in England today. And yes, it's true that some have been closed, but as I said at the start, the problem with Sure Starts is that they were all about the buildings, and very often they're only open for a few hours a week. They're targeted to families. The use of them isn't high. Now, some of them, the Tier 1 Sure Starts, are absolutely brilliant, multidisciplinary, open long hours, open to all families. That's what the family hubs are building on. So there will be a welcoming place, a family hub, call it a son of Sure Start if you like, but it builds on that model, and it will be a place for families to drop in, have a coffee, meet other parents, see a health visitor. My ambition is that you will have your antenatal first meeting with your midwife in a family hub, and that you will register your child's birth in a family hub, so that you get these real access points to be able to destigmatise family hubs in a way that Sure Starts have become quite stigmatising for the families that use them.
And just finally, this is, I think, an interesting announcement in the sense that you, as a backbencher, have led this campaign, and you've actually achieved something, because people say all individual politicians can't achieve much nowadays, but this is a genuine achievement for you, because it wouldn't have happened without you, would it?
Well, I completely agree. And I've always thought, actually, that if you are a, shall we say, feisty backbencher, some would say a pestering backbencher, that you can really get things done. But what I would say,
basically saying you've been a pain in the arse, that's why you've been
Yes. Yeah, basically. Yes, and I really don't care. I'm just so pleased. No, but in fairness, Boris has always backed this vision. He always has, ever since he appointed me as business secretary, he was like, and we're definitely going to pick up your Best Start for Life stuff. And likewise, Rishi, he was the local government minister when I was chairing the interministerial group under Theresa May's government. And he's always said to me, he completely gets it. He totally backs it. So here we are. Here is the government putting its money where its mouth is. And I couldn't be happier.
Andrea Leadsom, thank you very much.
Thanks.